Reasons why a narcissist suffers so much when they have to forget you. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm really happy that you're here, and today we're diving into a topic that I think a lot of you will find fascinating, especially if you've ever been involved with a narcissist. We're going to talk about why a narcissist suffers so much when they have to forget you. You might have moved on from the relationship, and maybe you're wondering if they've done the same. Well, the truth is that letting go and forgetting someone is particularly difficult for narcissists. So let's take a deep dive into the reasons behind this, and I hope by the end you'll have a clearer understanding of how and why a narcissist struggles so much when it comes to forgetting you. So, to start things off, it's important to recognize that narcissists don't form relationships the way most people do. When we think about healthy relationships, they're built on mutual respect, love, and genuine connection. But for a narcissist, relationships are largely transactional. People in their lives serve a purpose, usually to feed their ego, provide them with validation, or help them maintain control. Because of this, the way they see you is very different from how you might have seen them. When a narcissist enters a relationship, they often idealize their partner in the beginning, seeing you as someone who can meet their endless need for attention and admiration. During this phase, they are charming, attentive, and they make you feel special. But over time, that idealization fades as they begin to see you as flawed, just like any other person. And that's when things start to shift. However, even as they devalue you or treat you poorly, they don't truly want to let you go. Why? Because you're still fulfilling a role for them. You're still a source of validation, even if the dynamic has turned toxic. This is one of the reasons why narcissists suffer so much when they have to forget you. You've been a key part of maintaining their fragile sense of self-worth. Narcissists are extremely dependent on the admiration and attention they get from others. Without it, they start to feel empty, lost, and irrelevant. In their world, the more people they have around them who serve this purpose, the more secure they feel. When you leave, or when they are forced to forget you, it creates a void that they struggle to fill. No matter how many other people are in their lives, the loss of any source of validation, especially one they've relied on for a long time, hits them hard. It's important to note that for a narcissist, letting go of someone isn't just about losing a person. It's about losing control. Narcissists need to feel in control of the people around them. They craft scenarios, manipulate emotions, and use whatever tactics necessary to keep others in their orbit. When you leave or when they're forced to forget you, they experience a profound sense of loss, not just because of the person, but because they no longer have control over you. This loss of control triggers their deepest fears and insecurities, and it can cause them a significant amount of distress. What makes it even worse for the narcissist is that despite their outward appearance of confidence and self-assurance, they are deeply insecure. They have a fragile ego, and their sense of self-worth is tied entirely to how others see them. When they lose someone, especially someone they've relied on for validation, it's like a blow to their very identity. They start to question their own value and wonder why they weren't able to keep you. In a way, forgetting you feels like a personal failure to them, and they aren't equipped to deal with failure in a healthy way. Narcissists don't engage in the kind of introspection that most people do after a breakup or after losing someone important. Instead of reflecting on their own behavior or thinking about how they might have contributed to the end of the relationship, they focus on the loss of supply. This means they're less concerned with the actual relationship and more concerned with how your absence affects them. It's not about missing you as a person. It's about missing the validation, the attention, and the control. This is why they often suffer so much when they have to forget you. They're not equipped to handle the emptiness that follows. Another key reason why narcissists struggle to forget you is that they can be incredibly obsessive. Once they've attached themselves to someone, they often have difficulty letting go. Part of this comes from their need for control, but it also stems from the fact that they see people as possessions rather than as individuals with their own autonomy. When you leave or when they're forced to move on, it's like losing something they believe belongs to them. This possessiveness can manifest as obsessive thoughts, stalking, or even attempts to hoover you back into their life. It's not so much about love or connection. It's about the inability to let go of something they once had control over. Narcissists also tend to romanticize the past. Even if they treated you poorly or the relationship was toxic, they'll often look back on it through rose-colored glasses. They'll remember the good times, the moments when you were giving them the attention they craved, and they'll conveniently forget or minimize the times when they devalued or mistreated you. This selective memory makes it even harder for them to forget you because, in their mind, you were someone who fulfilled a vital role in their life. They'll struggle to reconcile the loss with the image they've created in their head of what the relationship was. A key part of why narcissists suffer so much when they have to forget you is their inability to deal with rejection. Rejection, for a narcissist, is one of the most painful experiences they can go through because it cuts directly into their inflated sense of self. When you leave or they're forced to forget you, they interpret it as rejection, and this can be deeply wounding to their ego. Narcissists go to great lengths to avoid feeling vulnerable or inferior, so being rejected, or even feeling like they've lost control over someone, can be incredibly painful for them. It's also worth mentioning that narcissists are often incapable of truly processing their emotions in a healthy way. While most people, when they lose someone or have to move on from a relationship, go through a grieving process that eventually leads to healing, narcissists don't. They don't allow themselves to fully experience the sadness or the loss, because doing so would require them to confront their own vulnerability. Instead, they suppress these feelings, which can lead to obsessive thoughts, bitterness, and even more manipulative behavior as they try to regain what they've lost. This emotional suppression is one of the reasons why they suffer so much. It's like they're trapped in their own unresolved emotions, unable to move forward. Another reason why a narcissist suffers when they have to forget you is that, for them, it's not just about losing a person, it's about losing a reflection of themselves. Narcissists often use the people in their lives as mirrors to reflect back a positive image of themselves. When you were in their life, you were likely serving this function, even if you didn't realize it. You were validating their ego, conferring their sense of superiority, and feeding into their grandiose sense of self. When they lose you, they lose that mirror, and without it, they're left with their own insecurities and self-doubt. This loss of self-image can be devastating for a narcissist, as they rely heavily on external validation to maintain their sense of identity. Interestingly, narcissists often go through cycles in their relationships where they idealize, devalue, and discard their partners. But even after discarding someone, they often struggle to fully let go. This is because, even in the discard phase, they're still viewing the other person through the lens of what they can provide for the narcissist. When they're forced to forget you, whether because you've moved on, blocked them, or simply refused to engage, they experience a kind of cognitive dissonance. On one hand, they may have devalued you in their mind, but on the other hand, they still crave the validation you once provided. This internal conflict can cause a great deal of suffering for them. Finally, one of the most significant reasons why narcissists suffer when they have to forget you is that they often fear being exposed. Throughout the relationship, they've likely gone to great lengths to control how they're perceived, not just by you, but by others around them. They've crafted a specific image of themselves that they want you to believe. When you leave or when they have to move on, there's always the lingering fear that you'll see through the facade and expose them for who they really are. This fear of exposure, of being seen as less than the perfect, superior person they've portrayed themselves to be, can cause a great deal of anxiety and suffering for a narcissist. In conclusion, a narcissist suffers so much when they have to forget you because they're not just losing a person, they are losing a source of validation, control, and self-worth. They struggle to let go because their identity is so deeply tied to how others perceive them, and losing someone means losing a part of themselves. Whether it's through the fear of rejection, the inability to process emotions, or the loss of control, narcissists find it incredibly difficult to move on from the people in their lives. Their suffering, in many ways, is a reflection of their own deep-seated insecurities and their inability to form healthy, genuine connections. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope this discussion has shed some light on why narcissists struggle so much when they have to forget someone like you. If you found this helpful, or if you've had your own experiences with this topic, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and how you've navigated these complex relationships. Remember, you deserve to be valued for who you are, not just for what you can provide to someone else's ego. Stay strong, take care of yourselves, and until next time, thank you for watching.